So the Donald Trump trade war continues, and as you know, he sent out a bunch of letters, and whether or not countries actually read these things, we'll see. What's also going on is we're wondering, are there other channels of communication other than the letters? Well, this is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talking about that. Have a listen.
Are people actually leaving tariff offers for you on your voicemail, or were you? Was that?
They're coming in a lot of different ways, Becky.
That's curious.
Yeah.
Is anyone actually calling you? Are you getting voicemails? And for all we know, countries are calling up and saying F you, and more F you. I mean, seriously, this is the sort of thing that you're seeing. I mean, this is all a clown show. You guys know this. These are the headlines today. Trump rolls out tariff demands, pushes deadline back. So you got 25% on Japan and South Korea, 30% on South Africa. Then you got a bunch of other ones: Malaysia, Myanmar, Laos, Indonesia, Thailand. There's more updated as we speak. And they're trying to intimidate you using his goons, his ICE goons. This is actually in LA. I know right where this is. I used to live in LA. So it says heavily armed immigration agents descend on LA's MacArthur Park. So if you guys are familiar with this, you can let me know. This is what it looks like. I mean, I recognize this area right away. And you can see there's these masked guys. They got horses out. This is in the United States. This is in LA that they're doing this. It was just today. Mayor Bass actually was out there also protesting this. This is Senator Alex Padilla. He says, armored vehicles, tactical gear, military-grade weapons, all for show. This isn't security, it's intimidation, and has no place in our communities. This is Mayor Bass of LA. And I'm just showing you guys this stuff because I do think it's important to cover, because it definitely relates. Trump is trying to intimidate people around the world with his crazy letters. That's why I mentioned that maybe countries are calling back and saying, you know, F you, and more F you. But this is actually from Mayor Bass. She says, this is footage from today in MacArthur Park, minutes before there were more than 20 kids playing. Then the military comes through. The second I heard about this, I went to the park to speak to the person in charge to tell them it needed to end now. Absolutely outrageous. So I'm with Karen Bass here. I don't want to see these people. And again, this is what it looks like in our parks in LA. On top of that, again, this is all the intimidation. This is the current list of the trade war. I'm putting this together because I want to understand that Trump is trying to play the strong man, trying to muscle people in mafia kind of tactics. Oh, wouldn't it be a shame if your family got hurt kind of stuff. Sending out these mean letters. This is what it is right now, though. So 25% on Japan, South Korea 25%. Then you got Thailand 36%, Malaysia 25, Indonesia 32, South Africa 30, Cambodia 36, Bangladesh 35, Kazakhstan 25, Tunisia, Serbia. Serbia's at 35, Laos at 40, Myanmar at 40, and Bosnia-Herzegovina at 30. And it's, why are we spending all this time on the smaller countries? I mean, it's like, and I mean by smaller in terms of trade partners with the USA. So on the chart on the right there is share of imports. So Japan and South Korea have, roughly 4.5%. Other countries are less than 1% of trade that does with the USA. It's frankly ludicrous, all the stuff they're doing, but it gets more clowny and nutty when you see more of the Bessent here. Have a watch.
As I've said over the past few weeks, TDS, which used to mean Trump Derangement Syndrome, has turned into Tariff Derangement Syndrome. And this same group was pulling for the economy to slow, for inflation to...
So now we're talking about Tariff Derangement Syndrome. So basically they try to gaslight you when you call out their policy. Oh, well, you just have tariff derangement syndrome, blah, 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 right? And you actually kind of see that stuff in comments from the Trumpers and the MAGA people. They don't want to actually have an honest conversation. They want to do name calling, that kind of thing. If you look at Navarro, which is actually interesting, they asked him about, hey, what's it like failing your 90 deals in 90 days thing? This is his response.
Have you? I've always wanted to ask you for the last 90 days about your comment on April 7th when you said 90 deals were possible in 90 days. We're almost up. And I just wonder, was your thinking at the time that it really was an aspirational number, or are you kind of disappointed in two for now?
I'm happy with the progress we've had because every country that we run a major deficit with is fully engaged. I think what we're learning from the negotiations is simply, Carl, how difficult it is for these countries to give up the advantage they have over us.
So the way they talk is like it's so difficult to do these trade things, right? And they got advantages over us. I mean, it's like these people admit all the time how incompetent they are. Only someone who's really, incompetent is like, oh, it's just so difficult. It's just so difficult, right? Think of it this way: if you're really good at something, right, it comes really easy to you because you're good at it. It's kind of like, you go with let's say to the mountain with a friend who's really good at skiing, and they're like, hey, what's your problem falling down? It's like so easy to ski, and you're just like, what are you talking about? This is like really hard, right? Do you guys see what I'm saying here? So when people like say Trump and Navarro talk about how difficult all this stuff is all the time, it shows you how incompetent they are. On top of that, you got Besant. Now we're talking about meetings at the Fed. And this thing is like completely insane. Like they have to sort of distract you with nonsense talk. You'll see it for yourself. It's a clown show.
By the way, what are your lunches like with Jay Powell these days?
Well, it's breakfast, and we have a lively exchange. We do a home game and away game. He comes to Treasury. I go to the Fed. The Fed's food is much better, so I enjoy breakfast over there. And we have very lively and far-reaching discussions with a lot of mutual respect.
They can spend as much money as they want on breakfast at the Fed. They're printing. It's like anything goes. It's like,
They're not worried about egg prices over there.
So as you can see, they're laughing over there. And I think a lot of these are basically set up questions to be like, hey, we need to distract people from what's really happening. Let's talk about breakfast and lunch at the Fed. Oh, okay, that's really funny. And let's talk about tariff derangement syndrome. Like, this is how they play you guys. And it's interesting because NBC recently did a thing. It says, it's all fake. There's no deadline. Insiders revealed Trump's trade deal game, right? And effectively, Trump likes the TV show aspect of this whole trade war. He likes the drama. He likes the villains and the heroes. He likes the fights. He likes to, maintain the headlines, because you do have to talk about it, right? If you're doing business, if you're a consumer, and the trade, the tariff rates keep changing, right? And you're like, okay, how much tax do I have to pay today? How much tax do I have to pay tomorrow? You can't plan for everything. And it's then crazy because you can see their incompetence live. And then they send out their minions on TV and say, see, Trump's a good businessman. He's the best businessman in 100 years. Like, they'll say this kind of nonsense. But in all of these things that they say, I just always want to ask you the really basic question. Do you, get all of this money that they keep claiming? They always say, oh, we're getting trillions of dollars and you're going to get tons and tons of jobs. Are you receiving that money? Because in fact, you're paying the higher taxes, right? The tariffs essentially. And, this is part of why I have to go through all this stuff, because yes, they are all clowns, and yes, they're all incompetent, but unfortunately, it does have a real effect on our lives. So, for example, I just saw this. We need to talk about it. It says, besides the tariffs Trump is announcing today, his administration is using another presidential power under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act to impose levies on specific sectors. So we're talking about autos, steel, and aluminum. And this has, major impacts, of course, on these industries. You also have this, which is a hiring freeze. This is a really, really big news. It's getting buried because there's just so much going on today, but that's sort of what they always try to do is overwhelm you with insanity nonstop. President Trump issued a memo, again, extending a federal government hiring freeze to October 15th. Trump first instituted the hiring freeze for civilian agencies hours after taking office. So he's promising you all of these jobs, yet I guess there's a federal government hiring freeze. I don't know if this would apply to the ICE people, because as you can see, he's sending out his ICE goons to parks to intimidate you in full, tactical gear. But yes, it says here, hiring freeze till October 15th. And then you have this: as renewed U.S. tariffs loom, emerging economies turn to another, meaning that USA is further isolating itself, because who wants to do business with a insane and erratic person like Trump who changes his mind from day to day? And so other countries are starting to form trading blocks and sort of, see, I see you're resisting Trump, and that gives me more strength, and I see you're resisting Trump, that gives me more strength. Like when you see other countries oppose, you realize that you're not alone. So for example, this is interesting. This is actually coming from Brazil. They say, we don't want an emperor. We are sovereign countries. If he thinks he can tax countries, countries have the right to tax too, basically. If you're going to have, your tariffs, we can do our tariffs as well. And basically just don't trade with the USA. That's what it ends up being. And then you also have people who are resisting in other ways. This was an interesting story it looks like people are essentially using accounts on X to then message people that they don't like. So for example, it says White House looks into rogue employee who used a Doge account to DM anti-Musk activists. What? What is this? And so this James Fishbeck guy, so he's a total moron. He's a Trump kisser-upper. I know exactly who this person is, but this was a sort of a message he received on X, so I guess some sort of employee used it. This was from the Doge Veterans Affairs account. It says, James, we need to talk. Your recent behavior has crossed some serious lines. That's why we rejected your Doge application in the first place. Let's step your game up. This is embarrassing. That was read by Politico and reported. So there's a lot of trolling going on. There's a lot of gaslighting going on. And I try to keep you guys best informed. And again, these are the rates right here of all the new tariffs. And I'm sure they may go out more. And I guess that's what we're talking about. And I'm curious if we get leaks on what's on these voicemails to Scott Bessent. So we're going to find out. I do appreciate your time, everyone. And I catch you all in the next video.